Ladies and gentlemen, privileged to have Senator Roy Blunt on the line with us. He is in Washington, D.C., blunt.senate.gov. Senator Blunt, welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, Jamie, it's good to be with you. I enjoyed it when I was in the studio with you just a few days ago, but glad to be talking to you this morning.
It was great to see you, too. So now up on the voting block today is the whole student loan thing?
I think there's going to be a vote, and nobody expects the vote to pass, but, of course, that's the only thing that Majority Leader Harry Reid wants to bring to the floor is stuff that won't pass. All these votes are about politics, not about getting something done. And of course, the root of the problem with the student loan situation is that the government made it illegal for the private sector to lend money to students. They basically took over the lending market and now are suddenly caught in their own trap. The Obama administration of using part of the so-called profits from student lending to pay for the president's health care plan. We should get back to where there's a competitive marketplace out there where people are loaning money to students, and they're loaning it at some rate that is close to the regular interest rate rather than a rate set by the government years in advance.
So now, are you saying, Senator Blunt, then today, if it does come up for the vote, will you be voting against the extension of this rate?
Well, actually, if I could vote for what I wanted to, I'd vote to go back to a competitive lending market.
Right.
Today, I will not vote for the tax increases that the majority would put on the table to pay for student lending.
I see.
What we need to do is to go ahead and get the money back from the place they put it, which was more subsidies for health care. And so they had students subsidizing health care for almost totally for older people. Not only did they tell young voters and young taxpayers and young Americans that you can't get a rate based on the likelihood you're going to need insurance. We're not going to allow so-called community rating any longer. So if you're under 25, you can't go and say, I'm healthy and under 25. I'd like a healthy and under 25 insurance policy. Not only do they eliminate your ability to do that and say, no, you got to get insured like you're 60 years old instead of 25 years old, but they also said we're going to take your student lending money and we're going to pay for parts of health care, $8.7 billion of health care, with the money we intend to make from students. And they have just set this trap for themselves. And, of course, now, just like the other issue you were talking about, they try to make it appear that it's everything but what it is.
Right.
And now it's, we need a tax increase to go back to the rate that we had said that we would like to charge now rather than the one we said we were going to charge when we were coming up with money to pay for the president's health care plan.
So essentially, though, you know how this is going to all play out, Senator Blunt. It's going to be not only are you waging a war on women, now you're waging a war on students. That in the end, it doesn't matter really what you do today. Well, it does matter, but if you vote no on this tax increase, you won't be able to get through the narrative the media has already written about how this is playing out and what this means.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see, Jamie. The House passed a bill last week that would have taken the student lending rate back to 3.4%.
Right.
And would have paid for it with where the money initially was going to go from the profits on student lending. So that'll be the bill that eventually will be voted on, and I would think before the election. You can't cast these votes based on what the Obama administration and the national media are going to say about the vote, or you wouldn't cast a common-sense vote ever.
I think that's a great point you make, Senator Blunt, and I appreciate that. A lot of people have been calling me this morning and also sending me emails this morning because they're concerned about some of the international treaties that are going to be coming up for ratification. I'm not sure you're briefed on all of them, but apparently there are going to be some votes on this Law of the Sea Treaty in June, and people are calling me and wanting me to ask you about how that's going to play out if Republicans plan to filibuster or block the ratification of these treaties.
Well, I would think so. I've resisted the Law of the Sea Treaty for a long time. I was, as much as anybody, leading the effort in the House to be sure that we didn't go down the Law of the Sea Treaty route. We're not benefited whenever we let Americans needlessly be bound by international law rather than our own law and our own Constitution. And you know how aggravated you and I get when we hear somebody on the Supreme Court say, well, really, we ought to look at other constitutions rather than our Constitution as we decide this case. We don't need a law. The law of the sea treaty just gives up too many of our rights, and we shouldn't do it. I think we'll continue to be able to resist it, and hopefully the next president will have better judgment on these issues than this president does.
And push for something with U.S. on it instead of UN. Thank you very much. All right, Senator Blunt.
Exactly. Thank you very much is right. That's right.
Good work up there, my friend, and thank you very much for chiming in. I know you got to run, but Senator Roy Blunt, appreciate it very much. Blunt.senate.gov. Good luck, buddy.
See you soon, Jamie. Thanks for all you do every day.
You take care, man.